I'm feeling very angry, and I'm going to get into it in a second because as if you have been following what is going on my timeline, you're probably aware that I have been duking it out with liberals. This entire thing started with this post.
The camp.
I was on I've Had It with my friend, Ms. Welch, who presented the question, would you vote for Gavin Newsom or J.D. Vance for president? Or something along those lines. Now, obviously, this was bastardized, and it was cut before my actual, my longer response to the question. But I basically said, it's out of my hands at that point. I have no control over this. I think it's over at that point, which is true. If it's a matchup, J.D. Vance versus Gavin Newsom matchup, it's But here, let's take a look at the clip. Let's take a look at how they have presented this. A lot of these guys, they hate that like the pod johns are aligned with me. They fucking despise whenever like CNN offers me like a profile or something. I want the party to fucking win. I want there to be, I don't give a shit. I don't care about like the Democrat brand. I don't care about the Democratic Party as a party. I care about policies. I care about them being an actual opposition party. That's what I care about. I care about advancing an agenda that will help the American working class. I care about advancing an agenda that will roll back American militarism around the globe. I don't care. I will work with anyone to get that across. But obviously, I can't get that across with the Republicans at all because I despise them. They're reactionary and they're not even remotely interested in that. They're not. They're not interested in that at all. But it's very, very frustrating that these dumbasses, some of them are dumb, some of them are cynical, some of them are getting paid, cannot comprehend that reality. There's just like no difference in opinion here. It's my way or the highway, and they're just yelling to their own echo chamber. You got to do a Newsom coverage. They are not going to let up otherwise. I don't think they're going to let up even after I do a Newsom coverage. It's so funny because most of like the hardliners on the left hate me because they say I sheepdogged for the Democratic Party because I work with the Democrat electeds. I try to get them to push. I try to push them on this policy side.
Disappointed in Gavin
Who do you vote
Newsom.
for, J.D. Vance or Gavin Newsom?
Well, I'd have to vote for Gavin Newsom,
Me
of course,
too.
100%.
I wouldn't blink.
No
What
doubt.
about you, Hasan?
I'd probably vote third party.
You would?
Oh, yeah. I mean, at that point, it doesn't even matter. Like, because my policy on this is the same as like my refusal to endorse Kamala Harris. The reason why I did not endorse Kamala Harris was because she did things that were not only unproductive, but also unconscionable. And I still stand on that. I still talk about it all the time because people constantly bring it up. They're like, you didn't sufficiently like promote Kamala Harris. You're the reason why she lost. And I'm like, I am incapable. There is no singular force in this country that is capable of making or breaking an election. And if that was real, then it is the most idiotic thing not to listen to my demands. But everybody knows that that's not real, right? Mm-hmm. If I had this singular force to be able to make Kamala Harris the president, then Kamala Harris should be coming to me every day and being like, let me do a collab with you, please.
Totally.
Right? That's not the case, of course. And they know it. That's why they didn't do it. The campaigns are always responsible for whether or not they are able to win the crowds, win the population over, and combat against the couch. Not necessarily even against the Republican Party, but usually you're fighting against the couch, people who just don't go out and vote. And for me, the way I see it is if the Democratic establishment makes this decision one more time, just as they did with Hillary Clinton, just as they did with Kamala Harris, and in some ways, just as they did with Joe Biden as well, which led to Trump too, then they just don't care. And there's not much I can do.
Let me tell you something. I agree with everything you say, but as a person who lived in a red state for 50 years, I would crawl through 10 feet of concrete.
Can I just say that this isn't about you not being right in your analysis, it's about trying to damage your reputation with normie Dems who agree with you on policy but are not sure who can beat Republicans, which is their number one goal. They are trying to keep the left from power by saying we don't actually want to beat the right. No, exactly. And it's kind of funny that it's an echo chamber of Democratic Party consultants who also want that message to be out there, but they can't overcome the needs of the masses. Because as someone who goes out there, as someone who's at those fucking protests, I see the Barbaras and I see the Debras and I see the people that have had their minds changed. I see the people that look at Bernie Sanders and go, that's our guy. We want someone like him. We know Bernie-crat. The Bernie-crat wing of the Democratic Party is the real electability argument. Those are the real guys that will not only push for the change that is necessary, but that argumentation, that policy technique is what is viable, what is actually viable. So these people are just in a fucking echo chamber talking to one another. and they're trying to create friction. Okay. I don't fucking care overall. They think like they got me. They think they got me. That's another one of these that's another thing that really frustrates me when they're like, "Ha, we got you. You outed yourself. You're not a real Democrat." It's like, "Yeah, bitch, I'm not. I'm not a fucking real Democrat. I'm not a party loyalist. I care about policy and I care about beating the Republicans. If there was a viable third party right now and they were more in line with my worldview, viable being the key word, I would be voting for them. If we had a parliamentary structure and there was a viable third party, you think I'd be fucking voting for the Democrats? Fuck no. I don't give a shit about the Democratic Party beyond their capability of beating the Republicans, because I do not want the reactionary forces to win in this country. I fight back against it every single fucking day of the goddamn week. I'm willing to work with liberals in line with that agenda. But if liberals are trying to actively fight against me, they're not with it. That's it. These people don't understand that, though. They think like, no, it's team sports. It's D versus R. This is it. Look at Jen and Austin. Why are they bringing up the idea of voting for Gavin? It's because the priority is being right. The best way to beat the left is go left. Zoran proves it. No, but Jen and Austin love Zoran. They love the left. They would never fucking turn around and demonstrate any sort of like ideological zealotry towards against the left position. I know them. I know them personally. I love them. They're fantastic. And this conversation, a lot of people are, though, Hasan, and they vote in the primaries, but they agree with us, so we don't even need to talk about this dumb shit. All I'm saying is most people are like Jen, where they're like, I will vote for whoever, but I also recognize that the left position, especially in the primary structure, is the popular position, right? That's it. But you still advocate to play for that party. You're going to get Gavin, big dog. There ain't nothing you can do about it. Exactly. So you don't care about beating the Dems. You are coping. Oh, shut up. I despise some of you fucking leftists so much. Like, you are so stupid. Please. I know I try to maintain a big tent here to the best of my fucking ability, but some of you literally cannot stop yourselves from being like, I'm morally righteous. It's a bourgeois electoral system. Both of the parties are liberal capitalist parties. Yes, I know. You're not smart. You're not smart for revealing something that I've been saying for the past fucking 10 years. The idea that we've already accepted Gavin Newsom as our fucking as our candidate is also so stupid, so silly.
Vote for Gavin Newsom, even though I think he's duplicitous, a hypocrite, a thirst trap, hungry for power, all of the things that you say, and harms the Democratic Party and sets the psychological soil to be more prey to fascism. All of that I agree with. But there are so many young, queer, Black.
No, do you live in California? Is that context not relevant in this conversation? No, that's cop-out. Me living in California is a cop-out. I have a massive audience. They don't just live in California. Many of them are going to vote blue no matter who, regardless. I'm not going to like urge them not to vote blue no matter who, regardless, but I will never tell them to do that in the fucking primary, okay? And I will, depending on the candidate, and depending on their platform, I will either choose to endorse or choose to not endorse. Having said that, I will never endorse a Republican. I will never tell people to go and vote for a Republican. I will always push back against the Republican agenda. You're all adults. You can make up your own fucking mind. But I think it's a cop-out to just be like, oh, you're living in California, so it doesn't matter. No, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. Because my commentary is not just staying in the state of California. My commentary expands beyond the state of California. So there is truth to what the shit libs say when they fucking turn around and go, oh, Hasan, you command a massive audience. Like, why the fuck won't you get in the tank for Kamala Harris in the same way that I did for Hillary Rodham Clinton, in the same way that I did for fucking Joe Biden? And yet, even back then, they would yell and say, we weren't sufficiently pro Joe Biden. We weren't sufficiently pro Hillary Rodham Clinton, that the Bernie bros somehow cooked the books, even though many of those people have now realized Bernie was right. Bernie would have been the fucking candidate to beat Donald Trump in 2016. We wouldn't have had all this fucking heartache. And yet they still can't expand on that concept. They still can't comprehend. In any case, yeah, it's almost reflexive for Democrats on here to blame professional lefties for every time the party fails, but where the party has been atrophying votes is among workers who don't follow politics closely and have vaguely moderate politics. Go back to Blue Sky. If you think moderates where I live will vote for Gavin Newsom, you can't handle reality. There is truth to this as well. And by the way, moderate politics or vaguely moderate politics doesn't even mean that they would like hate someone like Zoran Mamdani or hate someone like Bernie Sanders. That's the irony here. A lot of people think that these people are making decisions on ideology, ideological goals, policy goals. They're not. That's the reason why people think Bernie Sanders, Republicans think Bernie Sanders is more of a centrist than Kamala Harris is. It's just about which politician you like. The Twitter conversation is disconnected from the real world. Moderates are not lining up to vote for Mr. French Laundry. He's an Oppo goldmine, has nothing to do with lefties, who will mostly vote for him. My point is Hasan doesn't matter. Newsom is a toxic candidate for reasons irrelevant to him. Yes. Anyone and everyone that hyper focuses on my assessment here of Gavin Newsom, that's making that hypothetical conversation, vote blue no matter who conversation, run into the ground, does not fucking realize that they have lost it. Here, I'll give you a great example. Okay, with Gavin Newsom. What would it take for me to actually vote for Gavin Newsom? Because it's not like I'm never going to vote for Gavin Newsom. But if he fucking turned around and was like, I'm going to stick it to the Republicans regardless. I'm going to actually punish the Republicans that have actually engaged in corruption. If he earnestly changed his policies on homelessness, instead of fucking combating homelessness as a aberration that must be forcibly excised, sometimes directly, instead he actually had a robust housing policy that combated the reasons as to why homelessness exists and persists. If he actually had not vetoed Medicare for all in his own fucking state, because there's good things about Gavin Newsom that I have also openly revealed. He is far better than the National Democratic Party when it comes to prison reform. I know that there's a lot of ultras in here that will get mad at me for saying that, but I grade politicians on a fucking curve. And as far as the National Democratic Party goes, Gavin Newsom, unironically, has been better at prison reform in general, even though California is still fucking, there's still so many issues with the criminal justice system in the state of California. Holy fuck, it's not just ultras who make that critique. Stop. I watched a video of a small communist YouTuber who critiqued you so hard for doing this stuff, but I don't blame you for yelling at these losers. Yes. I let the fucking left flank criticism wash over me because I think it's bad posture and bad politics and a betrayal of what I believe in if I were to constantly position myself as the reasonable lefty. Look at these fucking dumbass lefties. Come on, libs. Love me, please. Liberals, love me. I'm your guy. I'm the actual, moderate leftist. The leftist with a smile. Trust me. I look at how much I hate these other fucking leftists to my left flank. I don't do that. You want to know why I don't do that? Because it's bitch shit, okay? Because the left in this country have no real fucking power. So all those guys, whether it be Bad Empanada, whether it be fucking Squirrel, or whether it be like random fucking small communist content creators are like, oh, well, Hasan is problematic for this reason or that reason. He's a sheepdog for the Democratic Party. I don't care. Yeah, go ahead. Whatever. It all comes back to this. The Democratic Party favorability, okay? They don't want to answer this question. Why is the Democratic Party unfavorability right now at 64% and only growing? Why? Donald Trump is the president. Donald Trump has not fixed the economy. Donald Trump is incredibly unpopular, and yet the Democrats' unpopularity has only grown in that time frame. One must ask the question, why? Why are the Democrats historically unpopular at a time like this? They have no answer for this question. They have no answer for this question. I do. I know why. It's because the Democrats are not fighting back sufficiently against the Republican Party's agenda. That's it. They're known as the do-nothing Dems. They're known as the no-backbone Dems. They're known as the Democratic Party that has left its own population behind, its own voters behind, the marginalized identities Democrats seemingly only remember to talk about when it comes down to fucking, demanding that people vote unconditionally for vote blue no matter who people. Those marginalized identities have been left behind by the Democratic Party. Okay, that's it. That's it. The most popular Dems in the country, across the board popularity, stem from the more radical Democrats, the Bernie Sanders of the world, AOCs of the world, Zohran Mamdani. Why are they so popular? Why are they carrying the Democratic Party's brand currently? The reason why they're carrying the Democratic Party's brand currently is because they're fighters. They're fighters. They have loyalty. They have the base. The base wants more people like that. This position is unironically reactionary. They're forcing you to accept the false binary with the premise of Gavin versus Donald, which would force you to support the better one if you're rational. We have to show how irrational it is to force people in the false binary again, which is the reason why Harris lost. We can and should ask for something better than Gavin if we want to fix the conditions that led to Trump. Exactly. That is exactly my point. which is part of the reason why I responded with shit libs don't care about losing to Trump. Shit libs who don't care about losing to Trump now want you to obey in advance to their hypothetical establishment candidate while there isn't even a guarantee there will be an election 2 years from now. Using marginalized people as a cudgel, you might actually think in your hug box that Hassan Piker represents Maoist China. Okay, he represents communism. He represents the USSR. This is like an utterly repulsive version of politics. True to the average American that is uninitiated, utterly oblivious to what like socialism, communism looks like. Okay, yes, that is fucking repulsive. But in action, when we're talking about the electoralist agenda, I'm not fucking running Maoists. Okay, I want people like Zohran Mamdani to fucking run. Reducing care for marginalized communities to a single hypothetical vote misunderstands how political engagement works. The premise here is that political morality is measured exclusively at the voting booth, while also claiming it proves he exploits marginalized people for profit. We all know that Hasan has spent years directing money, attention, and platform power towards those communities. If the standard for caring about marginalized people is unconditional support for whichever major party candidate is on the ballot, then you're redefining care in a way that conveniently excludes any form of political action outside of party loyalty. These guys want to turn the base of support and the base of loyalty in the Democratic Party to the MAGA cult, okay? And they're doing it at a time when there's a tremendous amount of energy directed towards demanding more from the Democrats. There is a lot of enmity for the Democrats right now. And the reason for why there's a lot of enmity for the Democrats right now, as I keep repeating over and over again, 64% disapproval, 33.9% approval. The reason why this exists is because the Democrats are not doing it. They're not leaning in to the demands of the base. They're not even doing like the shitty hashtag resistance liberalism of 2016. Jen, after this clip ended, agreed with me. Because Jen understands that vote blue no matter who mentality is what got us here.
Around marginalized people in red states. And even though this corporate Democrat is, you see it in a long-term game. In the short-term game,
you aren't communist enough for me. I'm unfollowing. Okay, go ahead.
President Newsom over a President J.D. Vance.
They are trying to relitigate vote blue no matter who politics on the timeline, and it's giving the game away because Gavin Newsom is not even the fucking candidate, right? And none of them actually have any interest in like helping defeat the Republicans at all. They're just doing their own petty fucking personal grievance politics. Ironically enough, Jennifer is not one of these people, right? And neither is Austin. These are my friends. These are people that I've known for years. And if you listen to the rest of the conversation that they cut out,
would enthusiastically crawl through 10 feet of concrete for all of the marginalized people.
Do you feel like the Democrats know that and that's why they get away with their ineptitude?
100%.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
so
100%.
I'm like,
you've known Jen for years? Yes, of course I've known Jen for years. I knew Jen when she was a liberal. I knew Jen when she was a liberal. She has talked about how she's gone through this transformation personally.
I don't even entertain that stuff, especially this far out from an election. But even in the primary season, that's immediately the conversation is like, well, whoever is the candidate, you're going to vote for them, right? And you know what's really indecent about that too? They never returned the favor for left flank candidates.
Yeah, no.
Because no one ever made hay about Bernie Sanders potentially becoming the candidate and all of the articles that came out about how Trump might be more preferable to Bernie Sanders. Because they were writing those. Liberals were writing those articles talking about how, the head of Goldman Sachs, who was like, I'm a lifetime Democratic Party voter. I think, Donald Trump is better than Bernie Sanders.
I know.
Would enthusiastically.
I don't think a lot of these people realize that a J.D. Vance, Gavin Newsom matchup would cause so much fucking enmity, would cause so much fucking animosity that J.D. Vance could potentially lose. Gavin Newsom could potentially lose to J.D. Vance. Yeah, damn, bro. They're even saying you're not hot. I know, I saw that. Trey Easton, who should always be asked why he refused to put who he worked for in office. It's John Fetterman. He's neither hot nor cool. His politics are just hate the Democrats. We should all stop listening to him. This is it. This is the main point. These guys want desperately for the National Democratic Party to not move away from them. At least this person gets paid by the Democrats, right? He's a consultant. Many of these other fucking dipshits that are doing the fuck Hasan shit are only doing it because they're fans of a different content creator. Is it fair to say the ideological divide between you and them, capitalism versus socialism, or is that an oversimplification? No, it's even dumber than that, because There are plenty of people who aren't socialists that I work with within the ranks of the Democratic Party to accomplish some of the goals that I have. So the irony there is it's not even this ideological divide broadly, even though that ideological divide obviously exists. In this circumstance, it's literally them saying, no, we don't want more Zoran Mamdanis. Oh, God forbid we get more Zoran Mamdanis. That's what it is. These people are so scared the more Zoran Mamdanis are going to get elected that they would rather burn the opposition party's already diminished credibility than to make the Dems a real fighting party for the working class. This is what this conversation is about. These types of guys are so fucking boring too. They say the same thing every time. I know. All of it reduces to, I will vote blue no matter who. Great. That's awesome. Let's get your fucking commitment to voting for whatever the leftmost candidate is then. Because I think that the leftmost candidate is the most electable candidate. That's it. There's only one Zoran. It's much easier to hamstring his agenda and say, look, it didn't work, but there are a bunch of Zorans. People will start to wake up. Exactly. That's what the fucking real problem is. They are absolutely terrified. These centrists are absolutely fucking terrified that there is going to be a wave of candidates, left flank candidates that come out of this midterm battle. And they are literally shitting bricks right now because the primaries are upon us and they are terrified of that. Until they turn around and recognize that the momentum is on the left flank, that people are demanding more dynamism, people are demanding policies that actually help them. And this business as usual bullshit from the establishment Democrats does not beat the Republicans. It is actually the reason why we have Donald Trump again. Yeah, John Marco had a pretty solid approach to this. Said, I actually think it's a good thing to not preemptively swear you'll vote for Gavin Newsom before he is the candidate. Gavin Newsom is building prominence in the Democratic Party right now because he's actually, doing fun, quirky stuff on the timeline, right? He's like posting like Donald Trump. People like that. Okay. And that's fine. Why are they on your ass now about this? Even though you've been preaching you hate the Dems for the longest time. The reason why they're on my ass is because regardless of how much they fucking yell about this shit, the Democratic Party still turns around and goes, Hasan, what do you have to say about this? What do you think about this? And that fucking their brain. They're like, why are you listening to him? That's the whole point, is to try to get this message that Hasan hates the Democrats. Hasan doesn't give a fuck about the Democratic Party. Hasan is an opposition figure to the Democratic Party that wants the Republicans to win in front of as many Democratic Party consultants as possible, not realizing that half of them are in the chat right now. They don't understand it. They don't realize that, like, when I go to the fucking DNC or when I'm actually working with the fucking Democrats, half of the Democratic teams are staffed by these motherfuckers that are in my chat right now. They don't comprehend it. That's what their worldview is so fucking sheltered that they can't comprehend that people can have different perspectives on this stuff. And then they constantly find themselves tugging along after the fact. They constantly find themselves going, they have no vision whatsoever for the future. That's why they're consistently wrong when it comes to domestic politics. Why do you think so many fucking people turn around and go, oh, I guess Bernie was right. Bernie was the right candidate. Also, if libs are already wanting to vote for him without a clear stance on subjects he walked back on his podcast, those some of the likes of Ben Shapiro and Charlie Kirk, then it allows him not to fight as hard for those things like trans rights, etc. Exactly. I hate the Republicans more than these people do. My positions haven't changed. Ironically enough, this is a rehashing of the 2016 era argumentation over and over again by people who I thought woken up to the reality that Bernie would have been a far better alternative to Donald Trump anyway.